Groovy English Podcast.
Hey there! Welcome back to Groovy English. I'm Chloe.
And I'm Aiden. We share real stories, useful tips, and everyday English to help you grow with confidence.
Wherever you are in your English learning journey, we're glad you're here.
If you're enjoying the podcast, feel free to like, subscribe, or share it with a friend. Let's get started.
Hi friends. It's Eva. Welcome back, and as always, I'm so happy you're here. Today, I want to share something that completely changed the way I learned English, and honestly, changed the way I see people too. It all started when I made a decision. I was going to talk to strangers in English. Now, if you're like me, this might sound scary at first. Talking to strangers in a second language. What if I make a mistake? What if they laugh? What if they don't understand me? Trust me, I had all those same thoughts. But I'll tell you right now, talking to strangers was one of the best things I ever did for my English. Let me take you back a few years. I was living in Bangkok at the time, and I'd been studying English for years. Grammar, vocabulary, listening exercises, you name it. But something was still missing. I could understand a lot. But speaking, it was hard. Slow. Sometimes frustrating. I wanted to feel natural when I spoke. I didn't want to keep translating in my head. And that's when I read a quote that said, "Language is not something you study. It's something you use." That hit me. So one day, I made a small promise to myself. I said, "Okay, Eva. Just talk to one stranger today. One. Just say something." That day, I went to a coffee shop. I ordered my drink in English, which I usually did anyway, but this time, I didn't stop there. There was a tourist standing next to me, looking at the menu. He looked confused. So I said, "If you're not sure what to get, the Thai tea is really good here." My heart was beating fast. I didn't know if he would understand. But then, he smiled and said, "Thanks. I've never tried Thai tea before. Is it sweet?" And just like that, we had a conversation. It only lasted 2 or 3 minutes, but I walked out of that coffee shop feeling like I'd won a gold medal. It wasn't perfect. I probably made grammar mistakes. But I spoke. I listened. I understood. I connected. And the best part? I didn't die from embarrassment. So, I kept doing it. At the market, I asked a traveler, "Do you need help finding something?" At the park, I told a woman, "Your dog is so cute. What's his name?" In a bookstore, I said to a student, "That's a great book. I just finished it last week." Every time, I was nervous. But each time, it got a little easier. And here's what I learned. First, most people are kind. When you speak to someone in English, even if it's not perfect, most people appreciate the effort. In fact, many people are patient. They slow down. They smile. They listen. And that gives you confidence. Second, I realized that real conversations are messy. It's not like the textbooks. Sometimes people mumble. Sometimes they speak fast. Sometimes you misunderstand and have to ask, "Sorry, what was that?" And that's okay. Because guess what? Even native speakers say, "Huh?" or "Can you repeat that?" all the time. Third, I learned phrases and expressions I would never find in a textbook. One man told me, "I'm just killing time here before my flight." I had never heard that phrase before, killing time, but I figured it out. It means he was just waiting. Passing time. After that, I started using that expression myself. I'm just killing time before class. Here's something else I noticed. When I started talking to strangers, I stopped being afraid of small mistakes. Before, I always wanted to sound perfect. I was scared of using the wrong tense or forgetting a word. But when you're in a real conversation, your brain doesn't have time to worry about grammar. You just communicate. If I couldn't remember the word for ceiling fan, I just said, "the fan on the roof." And guess what? People still understood me. Talking to strangers also helped me think faster in English. Because in a conversation, you don't have time to translate in your head. You listen, and you respond. Sometimes your answer is short. Sometimes it's just, "Me too," or "That's interesting." But every response trains your brain to react in English, not translate from your native language. One funny moment I remember. I was on a train, and I saw a woman reading a book I loved. I smiled and said, "That's one of my favorite books." She looked up, surprised, and said, "Oh. I just started it." No spoilers. We both laughed. That tiny moment made my whole day. That's the thing about talking to strangers, it's not just about English. It's about connection. Sometimes you talk about books. Sometimes you talk about food. Sometimes you just smile and say, "Nice weather today, huh?" But each one of those moments adds up. And suddenly, you're not just practicing English, you're living in it. There was one time I was on vacation in Singapore, and I got a little lost. I asked a man, "Excuse me, how do I get to Orchard Road?" He not only gave me directions, but we ended up chatting about where he was from, how long he'd lived in Singapore, and his favorite places to eat. I told him about my favorite Thai food and where I grew up. We talked for maybe 15 minutes, standing on the sidewalk, and I felt so proud afterward. After a few months of doing this, I realized something huge. I was no longer afraid of English. It didn't feel like a school subject anymore. It felt like a bridge. A tool. A way to meet people, to learn their stories, and share mine too. Now, I still get shy sometimes. There are days when I make mistakes or can't think of the right word. But now I laugh, fix it, and keep going. Because I've learned, perfect English doesn't create connection, brave English does. So if you're listening to this and wondering, should I try talking to strangers? My answer is, yes. Just start small. Say, hi. Ask someone what they're reading. Give someone a compliment. Ask for directions, even if you don't need them. These little moments matter. They build your confidence. They train your brain. And most importantly, they remind you that you're not alone. You're not just learning English to pass a test. You're learning it to live, to connect, to grow. And sometimes, a small conversation with a stranger can remind you just how far you've come. The more I spoke with strangers, the more I discovered the unexpected beauty of spontaneous conversation. Sometimes I didn't plan to speak English at all. I'd just be at the grocery store, or waiting in line for coffee, and I'd overhear someone asking, "Do you know if this bus goes to Siam Paragon?" And before I could stop myself, I'd say, "Yes, it does. I'm going that way too." That simple interaction would lead to more talking. We'd talk about travel, food, weather, sometimes even dreams and fears. It reminded me that you don't need deep vocabulary to have a deep conversation, you just need openness and curiosity. Another thing that surprised me was how much I learned about other cultures through these little chats. One woman from Brazil told me how they celebrate Carnival. A tourist from Turkey taught me a few words in his language. A man from Canada told me how different the winters were from Thailand, and showed me a photo of snow taller than his car. These conversations gave me more than just English practice. They gave me stories, memories, new perspectives. It felt like I was traveling the world, one conversation at a time. I also started keeping a small notebook with me. Every time I had a chat in English, I'd write down any new word or phrase I heard. Jet lag. Hit the spot. Let's play it by ear. I'd write the phrase, then make my own sentence. After a while, those phrases became part of my natural speech. But don't get me wrong, some days were awkward. There were times I started talking to someone and forgot a word halfway through. I'd pause and say, "Wait, what's the word for when you're really tired, like after a long day?" And someone would help, exhausted. I'd say, "Yes. That's it. Thank you." And you know what? That moment, when someone helps you find the word, isn't embarrassing. It's human. It's connection. And it teaches you in a way that no textbook ever can. There were also times people didn't respond much. Some were shy themselves. Some were busy. But even if a conversation didn't last long, I still counted it as practice. Because speaking up, even once, was more than I did the day before. One time I was in a bookstore and saw a tourist struggling to read a Thai label. I asked, "Can I help translate?" He looked relieved and said, "Oh yes, thank you. I'm looking for children's books." We ended up talking about his daughter, who loved animals and was learning to read. He left with a few books and a big smile, and I left with a bigger heart. From these moments, I learned how powerful it is to simply be kind and open. When you show interest in others, you learn, not just English, but empathy. That's another unexpected gift from talking to strangers in English, emotional growth. Became more patient, more curious, and more confident, not just in English, but in life. And eventually, something magical happened. I no longer needed to prepare to speak English. I just did. Naturally. Without overthinking it. Even when I made mistakes, I didn't panic. I'd say, oops, she went, not she go. And I'd move on. No shame. Just progress. Later on, I even started helping other English learners. When I saw someone struggling like I used to, I'd encourage them, just try. Just say it. You're doing great. One girl I met on the train was so shy, barely whispering her words. I told her how I used to be the same. I said, start small. One sentence at a time. We ended up chatting for 10 minutes, and by the end, she was laughing and telling me about her dog. When I look back now, I can say with complete honesty, talking to strangers in English changed my life. It changed my mindset. My confidence. My identity. I'm still learning, every day, but I don't wait for perfection. I practice connection. And for me, that has made all the difference. So wherever you are, whoever you are, I want you to remember, you don't have to be fluent to speak. You just have to be brave enough to begin. Talk to someone new today. In English. Start the conversation. And let it change you. Thanks for listening. Keep speaking. And maybe tomorrow, say hello to someone new. You never know where it might lead.
Your English is shining brighter by the minute. Hit that next video to keep leveling up your skills. Or dive into our other episodes for more secrets to talk like a pro. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share to join the Groovy English crew.